Hello, welcome to another episode of Tracy Takes On, the show that talks about all things political. Soon I'll be joined by my panel, but in the meantime, get your popcorn ready because this is going to be a great show. See you. Okay, guys, thank you so much for that pause. I'm glad to be joined by my panelist Charles this evening, and we're going to get right into the issues today. Issue number one, y'all's president will not quit, will not stop. He just got another lawsuit thrown out of court. I wonder who. I know he's getting money from um, small donor contributors, but how much more can he keep pumping that same well before people realize this race is it's over?
I don't know. I mean, tomorrow is Safe Harbor Day, where all the states have to have their certifications in. And then next Monday, is it next Monday? Yeah, next Monday, the electors vote. So, I think it's a pretty much done deal. If he's going to do something, it's not going to be with the blessings of the court. It's going to be some underhanded grab for power. That's all I see that he has left. And, I just don't think people are going to enable him to do that. I think it's a pretty done deal. He's going to be gone.
And that's I wish I could believe that, but he is just he's a brat. That's the best word to come up with it. He is a brat. A little bitty child that can't get his way, so he just sits there in the middle of the grocery store and starts screaming, hoping everybody looks at him. That's what Trump is to me. And I'm sorry to all the 2-year-olds out there. I didn't mean to insult you, but that's the best term. That's the best way to describe him. He will not give up. He's already said that if he doesn't get the electoral votes, he's going to resign. Which that I believe. I believe when those electorals go to vote for him against him coming up soon, he's going to resign. I think it's just a matter of time before he either tries to put his tail between his legs and go run for 2024, or he becomes the godfather of the new RNC and starts blessing people to run or not run.
Well, you said he did say he was going to resign, because I hadn't heard that.
He had made a statement, and you know how he goes back and forth because we just love him so much. But he went back and forth and said, if he didn't, if the electorals didn't vote for him, he would leave office. That he tried to backtrack it, but if you follow him on Twitter, which I try not to, but unfortunately I have to, he went right back to the same point. He went right back to the same point. And I see Talicia's here. So what we're talking about is y'all's president will not give it up. He's lost yet another suit in Michigan today. And I'm wondering, one, why is anybody giving him such money to do anything? And two, like, how many times is he going to be able to go to that same pot and keep getting money and keep getting money? I thought he was a billionaire, so technically, shouldn't he be paying for this himself?
No, that's what the campaign is for.
And I was being sarcastic about the billionaire part because I don't think he's a billionaire at all. I really don't.
Me either.
He's definitely not a billionaire at all. He's more like, maybe, I mean, he has more money than me, but who doesn't? But he's more like a low millionaire. Like he hit the lottery and he won 55 million, but he chose to take half of it in like one lump sum, and he's just living off of that. That's what he's doing.
Well, I personally think he doesn't have probably like 2 nickels to rub together. I think he's pissed away every dollar and dime he's ever had, and he's just hedging his bets. Now, all these people that love him so, they will keep filling his coffers for him to empty it. Every chance he's gotten, got what, like the equivalent of 400 million when he was a child, only to ruin that. Bankruptcy, bankruptcy, bankruptcy. Trump hasn't met a dollar he hasn't spent. So I don't think it's going to last. I think he'll be broke before we know it, but there's always another hustle.
Well,
Yeah.
the fact maybe we'll find out after he leaves office what his worth is, because I'm sure the New York Attorney General has that information. She has his tax returns, the bank records. He supposedly, I mean, it leaked out he's $400 million in debt. So if he's
And
not a billionaire, then he's got a whole lot less millions
yeah, you
than.
wonder, how does a person get $400 million in I mean, I know how people get in smaller debts, but 400 million, you got to be just a bad money manager. I mean, how bad can you be where you're just, that's almost a $500 million that he's in debt. He's like, oh boy, he's just itching close to it. But I wanted to talk about also um the split that I see coming in the Republican Party, and this is just my opinion. You guys can disagree with me if you want. I think that once Trump is out of office, thank God, please January 20th get here. I think there's going to be a real big split in the Republicans, because you're going to have a sector that says, I'm all Trump, I'm in for Trump, he's the party, I'm behind him. And then you're going to have your more common sense Republicans like, no, we're the true Republicans. We're gonna make sure that we get our party values back.
Well, that goes to how far right you want to go. I guess to keep balance in order, you want to stay at the center, the moderates. How they're able to work back and forth across the aisle. But the farther you go left or the farther you go right, that you impede that ability to work back and forth across the aisle. And he has caused, I mean, it's a big divide there that I don't know, maybe after he leaves office, maybe people will come back to their senses. I mean, so far you only got 27 GOP Congress people that have acknowledged that Biden is the winner. 220 are unclear, and I forgot how many say that Trump is still the winner. So, you know, come January the 20th, unless you're living in a reality world, uh, there will be a power transfer, and regardless if you acknowledge it or not, it's still going to happen.
So I tell you like this, I think it is a numbers game for, I'd say, for the Republicans in office, right? So I'd say 99% of them, with the exception of your cuckoos like Matt Gaetz, Tom Cotton, I think they really do drink Trump juice. But for the most part, the rest of these Republicans, they're not signing up for Trump ideology. Trump ideology is insane, batty. He doesn't care about anything. And he's basically a slap in the face to all the things they say they care about. He's increased the deficit, da 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 da. We all know all the bullcrap stuff that the Republicans say they stand for and they don't, right? So for the most part, when he's gone, for them, it will go back to normal. However, Trump still has that base, and that base is in control of them. So even the ones that are considered moderate, which I really still don't think there's really any moderate Republicans, I think they are led by their numbers, with the exception maybe Mitt Romney, because he occasionally goes out on the limbs and stands up for probably is like, it's gone too far. So now I got to say something, but let's not forget, he still only voted for one of those articles of impeachment when Trump has done so much, right? So at the end of the day, the base dictates how Republicans act. If Trump all of a sudden loses his base, they're going to forget all about that Trump ideology, to save their skins. This is the only reason why they've backed Trump here. This is why they secretly tell Democrats who, much to our chagrin, are so weak they refuse to name and shame, but they tell them in private, yeah, Biden won, Trump's crazy, we don't support Trump, but they won't say it on TV because they're chicken of the base, which is why we always scream that the Democratic base needs to get a little stronger and twist a little more arms, because Republicans do what their base dictate because they know they won't go back, even though they may lie to them and tell them they're fighting for them and they're not. That's the messaging war thing. But long story short, there will be a divide. There will be the Republicans that still want to keep Trump's base, and then there will be maybe a couple of Republicans that stand up against the foolishness because it's just so beyond the pale. But that base will dictate how they behave, and unless Trump totally disappears and loses that base control, they will still keep that Trump ideology through 2024.
Then do you think, now this is what I think, I'm not sure if Trump's going to run in 2024. What I think he's going to do, and this is just my crazy out there opinion, I think he's going to get one of his children, specifically his favorite child, Ivanka, to run in 2024. That's what I think. I think he's getting his children because he wants that Kennedy reign thing to go on. I don't see him getting into the race again, because I think if he got into the race, well, one, he would be 78. So no. And then you would have people saying, okay, but he lost. I mean, the delegates. Now, I'm not sure if that delegates includes the base or not, because I'm not sure how the Republican primary works. But he's the first presidential candidate to lose the popular votes twice.
Right.
No, nobody else. I mean, that's history. If he wants to make history, he made history doing that. So I don't think he runs in 2024. I really don't. I think he's prepping one of his children to run, but not him.
But then we also know that Trump, I'm sorry, go ahead, Charles.
I don't even think it's going to be his children. I'm telling you that Trump and his family going to have too much baggage. That's why he doesn't want to leave this office now, that he's going to have to face, his kids are going to have to face. They're all going to be damaged goods trying to go into 2024. Now, Trumpism, his ideas will probably carry over, but it won't be his family. It won't be, and it won't be Trump either,
Yeah, let me ask a follow-up question to you. So do you see a Pompeo-Pence rivalry coming up? Because I think one of those two, I think they're going to be battling back and forth for that nomination. I definitely think Pence is going to try to run. Nope, I don't even question it. I know he's going to run.
I don't think Pence is going to try to run. I really don't think. Maybe Pompeo. You haven't heard Pence out there talking about 2024. Pence, I just don't think he has what it takes to get the Republican nomination. I mean, what is his ideas? Nobody knows. He hasn't done anything these past 4 years except perpetuate Trump's lies. So I don't see what how he's gonna stand. What he's gonna stand for. He just doesn't seem like presidential material to me. That's my opinion.
Well, I love you, Charles, but you keep trying to put a rational lens on a very irrational base, right? Yeah. So that being said, all these questions you're asking, which are awesome questions, will hold that scrutiny for the Democratic Party. A former criminal, never stand a chance. Someone who's pending charges will never stand a chance in the Democratic Party. Republicans, more so Trump's base, they don't care. They would crawl through broken glass to put that criminal back in office. But I don't know if it's his kids either, Tracy, because I don't think Trump has coattails. Trump is the superstar. You notice how everybody try to mimic his, these Republicans try to mimic his behavior and their points go down because people don't like it. And they're like, oh, why are you acting like this? But somehow he is like the most, like revered person in the Republican circle, at least with that base. And let's not forget 93%. I'm going to say this every chance I get, 93% of Republicans voted for him. So somebody likes it. You know what I'm saying? So even though that base seems so small, 93% of Republicans will fall in line and do what they're supposed to do. So whoever they put up, the Republicans will all come out to support, even if they're BS crazy. And they will, they'll be supported. No, I don't know. I don't really know if Trump will run again. He may see a 2024. I don't think his kids will. If anybody can do it, I think it would be Ivanka, because the other two seem really dumb. That's my scientific way to put it. They seem dumb. But Ivanka would probably be the only one that could do it, but she can't get that same magic that Trump has. I don't think it's transferable to the kids no matter what, unless he goes out and says, vote for my kids, but that still may not work, because how many people did he back that didn't get elected in the last 4 years? A lot.
That's true too. And, and I think about it because I fall back to Pence because he seems like the most logical person to me. And I'll answer Charles' question about the one thing he's got going for him, which I don't agree with, but he is staunchly pro-life. He has consistently been, and I mean, not just pro-life where you could tolerate it and have a conversation with them, be like, okay, why are you pro-life? He's radical, talking about putting doctors in jail pro-life. And I think that feeds into the base, because if you hear him talk, how he quotes the Bible, which I don't know what Bible he's quoting, but okay, I guess. Some Christians and some, of the Republican Party, that makes his logic makes perfect sense to them. Right. They think things like outlawing abortion is somehow going to stop it, even though the three of us know good and well you can outlaw it all you want. That's not going to stop what you ultimately want to stop. But I don't even think he really cares about that issue, to be honest.
No.
I don't think he does, but I think he knows what it's going to take. I mean, think about it. He was a piddly little crappy governor, and I know it's my state, but I'll say it because he was the governor of my state, and he wasn't doing anything. But because Trump needed those evangelicals who unfortunately, they have influence over their congregations. They really do. They can't get up there and say, vote for this person, but they sure can invite politicians to their forums and say, oh, I opened it to everybody, knowing good well that invitation to the other side didn't go out. They have that influence over their congregation that I'm not sure if, quote unquote, the Black churches have it, but I know that some of the clips I've been watching, I'm like, okay, y'all on stupid juice or something, because it didn't make any sense to me, but it makes sense to them because that's what they want to hear. And Trump says what they want to hear. Trump says, send all the Mexicans back to Mexico because they're just rapists and murderers. Right. Well, we know that white people, Black people, Asian people murder people, unfortunately. But because they think that, and Pence speaks to that, and I said Trump and I meant Pence, I think he's probably the most likely to do it. Pompeo, I don't know enough about Pompeo to say anything.
He was just as psychotic as Pence.
Yeah, I've heard that, but I don't follow him enough to know. Unfortunately, he wasn't governor of my state, so I got to follow Pence. And I say unfortunately because he did a whole lot of terrible when he was governor.
And so I've heard. And I agree with you. I don't think he believes half of this mess he spews. Matter of fact, I think somebody from long ago actually said it's all just pandering to the base, but they eat it up with a spoon. His ilk also believe in gay conversion camps where they not only pray away the gay, but they electroshock therapy in a way, like, it's not a choice. And, so a lot of evangelicals eat that up, and, they think it's in line with the Bible, but Jesus talked about taking care of the least of these. He didn't talk about converting them and trying to shock away their reality. So, and also he didn't talk about, letting people with AIDS die, and not taking care of them and putting in money and to get them, the proper medicine. And that's what Pence did over in Indiana. Sickening. So I don't know what God they serve, but that's no God I ever knew or heard about or read about.
But he's still, Pompeo, Pence, they're still going to be tied to Trump. And I mean, Trump is the worst president in my lifetime.
Yes.
Yes.
And, when you might be supporting him today, but once you get away from that, are you going to want to step into that again? You have to look at that also. I mean, do we really want to go back into that again? I mean, he really wasn't that great. People, when you take a step back and look at a situation, it lets you reflect and sometimes rethink your course of action. So I just don't, I believe they might come back to being the way they were before Trump. It's possible there, because if you're gonna try to bring Trumpism back, you're gonna have that Republican split. You're gonna still have the Lincoln Project, the Republicans who will be against those ideas. It's almost like the Affordable Care Act that during Obama's tenure, the public couldn't wait to get rid of it. But then as soon as they found out what they were going to be getting, then they kind of rethought their feelings about the Affordable Care Act. And, I mean, people were hitting the streets in the first months of his term because, they saw what they were getting. And that's why I don't believe anybody tied to Trump. That's just not going to work next time. I could be wrong, but I really don't believe it. And a lot of Trump's baggage is gonna be exposed here.
In logic land, that makes perfect sense what you just said. But like I think Talisha said, that 93% of Republicans that voted for Trump got 74 million votes. That means 74 million people out there thought, you know what?
That's doing a great job.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job. When I thought, oh, this should be a blowout. This should just be a slam dunk, and it wasn't. I mean, we want to get honest about it. Biden barely beat who all three of us agree is the worst person to ever live at the White House, period.
Amen.
And you have a whole segment of the population that unless they get a shock of knowledge, they're going to think, one, Biden has no business in there in the first place because he stole it.
Right.
Then they're going to think everything he does is going to push in socialism, which I just got into a whole discussion with someone about what socialism truly is. So I'm going to sidestep that for a bit. But I think that if they appeal to that base of the 93% of the people that voted for Trump, they're going to be viable. I wish I was wrong. I wish I felt like you did, but I don't. I think they're going to appeal to that 93%, say, hey, let's make sure that we're not screwed over again. You know how they stole it from our great leader, Trump. Don't let them steal it from me. That's right. What I think. I could be totally wrong, but I just got a gut feeling I'm not.
I agree. And then let's put it this way. Take away Trump's nasty rhetoric, right? Because that's really what people like the Lincoln Project, your Jennifer Rubins, they didn't like because he was nasty and rude and mean. But what did he do? What did he do that was so separate from Republican ideology? He gave tax cuts. He sold weapons to the Saudis back in that war in Yemen that's killing people. He was deporting people that they felt didn't deserve to be here. He was trying to cut the social safety nets. He talked about doing that. That literally falls in line. So if you take out just the nasty verbiage that he would just drown us in on a daily basis, and probably his side deals, that because he's supposed to be keeping that a little closer to the vest, because let's not act like he was the first person to get in office and use that office for personal gain. So really it's almost identical. They just didn't like that he wasn't civil. You literally heard Flake on his way out saying, I don't like the way he speaks, but Flake voted with him over 90% of the time. So, Charles, yes, you're looking at it from a logical point of view. You're also looking at it probably from a Democratic lens. And even the moderates, Republican moderates, they're not moderate. You know, the thing that makes Susan, what's her name up in
Oi, May.
there you go.
Yeah, I can
Susan
call that
Collins.
name. Yeah, Susan
The thing
Collins.
that makes her a moderate is she's not for you know, anti-abortion. Well, she's not against abortion, right? So basically she's just saying let the settled law stay. But that's what they call her moderate. But she was right there for the tax cuts. She was right there for the right-leaning judges. She was there for all of that mess. And so we all keep thinking that Trump's so bad. Trump is bad. Don't get me wrong. I cannot stand Trump and I can't wait to see him go. Love to see him leave, right? But if you get down to the bare bones, you take out all the idiocy, right? All the previewing the stupid stuff he was going to do that kind of nipped it in the bud before he could do it. You know, that was the one great thing, was he was so dumb he kept letting the cat out the bag. You know, the next person that comes along, and I swear in my mind it's not Pence, I think it's Cotton, because Cotton has that same deep down hatred for people that are other, but he's smart. So he's going to get away with a lot more than Trump did. So Trump's not so different from the regular Republicans. It's just we got that daggone mainstream media telling us there's good Republicans. And good Republicans, yeah, you're good that you get on TV and say Trump shouldn't have said that, but then you turn right around and vote with him over his bad policies that harm America.
Yeah, not to cut you off because I didn't mean to do
good.
that.
You're good.
But what's worse to me are the Democrats that voted for Trump's picks. Are you kidding me?
Jesus.
Are you kidding me?
Mm.
I'm like, wait a minute. So, and I'm not saying that anybody can't think of a great idea. Anybody can, but he never had any legislation that made any sense. And you're going to vote for it, Nancy Pelosi? You're going to give him money to increase wars? No, that's who I have a problem with. I know who the Republicans are. They're going to do them. They're going to raise taxes on poor people. They're going to want to cut social programs like Social Security. I expect that from them. They do exactly what I expect them to do. But when it comes to these Democrats that say they're progressive and you vote for his Supreme Court judges, you give them money for wars, I got a problem with it. All day, every day.
Girl, same.
Yeah, because I'm just like, really? But before I get too angry, gotta move on to the next issue, the stimulus. Somebody needs to remove Mitch McConnell from office. I don't know what his problem is, his stubbornness of thinking that $500 million is apparently enough and there's no checks to people. I don't know if he doesn't see that. And I'm saying him because he's the Senate Majority Leader. So he has dictation of what's coming to the floor, what's not coming to the floor. I don't understand, one, how did the stimulus decrease from $2,000 to $1,200? That's one thing I got a problem with. And then second, why aren't the Democratic Party going to these people's states and saying, hey, get on the phone and call these people and tell them that we need a stimulus? Those are the things that I don't understand.
Nancy and Chuck are back in that right now. and it's 500 billion, but Nancy and Chuck are backing it right now.
Oh,
So
400 billion. Okay.
yeah, but Nancy and Chuck are backing that right now, and they're saying take the deal. So that being said, we're in trouble.
Yeah, because it doesn't include a stimulus, correct?
Not
Yep,
at all.
that's what I thought. I knew it didn't include, I got the amount wrong, but I knew there was no relief. And I just got a text about volunteering at a food bank. And I'm like, wait a minute. They were like, oh, be there early. I'm like, well, why? And then I thought, oh, because the line is going to be so long that people are going to be standing outside and seeing it. That is ridiculous. And that's another thing. I don't want to get angry again, because now I'm wondering, okay, so this same deal that was proposed, 6 months ago, didn't want to take it because, that would seem like Trump was going to win. So now you're going to see, that don't make sense to me. Charles, talk me off the ledge, because I'm about ready to go off. I'm ready to go off.
This way, if they don't come up with something to help the public, it's going to be more people getting the virus, and it's going to be more people dying. We're up to around 2,000 people a day that is dying, and that's just going to get greater and greater, until they're going to be forced to do something. They're going to have to give people money just to stay at home, just
Right.
to stay locked up until they can get this virus under control. I think they're hedging their bets on this vaccine, and I'm not sure about this vaccine, because this vaccine, like I say, it's been too fast
Yes.
to develop this vaccine. I mean, like polio. Polio was discovered back in 1840, or was diagnosed as a condition in 1840, and it wasn't until 1950 until they got a vaccine
Wow.
to take care of polio. But now all of a sudden, they got this warp speed, and they got this vaccine, and it's going to be distributing. And then hearing today that Pfizer during the summer offered Trump to the opportunity for the government to purchase more of the vaccine, and he balked on it. Now he wants more of the vaccine, and they're saying, well, they can't do it because they're committed to other countries now, making vaccine for them. So, like I say, they still got a mess on their hand that they're going to have to take care of. And I don't know, like I say, I'm afraid of this vaccine, because I read something about Moderna, and they their vaccine is RNA, and I don't know what you're putting into me, but it changes the makeup. RNA is like, it makes up the makeup of the DNA. And I don't know if you could be changing something in people that when you inject this into their body. Most vaccines were processed biologically, and this one is processed chemically. Now, what that means, I'm not sure, but it's just something to look into before you letting somebody stick a needle in your arm and put some in your body that you don't really know what kind of side effects that it's going to have. Right now I'm good for social distancing and keeping my mask on.
That's exactly right.
Exactly. But I guess I'm just so angry about, again, the $2,000 a month bill that came out of Congress has now gotten reduced to $1,200. Like, okay, when did that happen? But I don't unless they're banking, what I think they're doing is I think they're banking on the Georgia race. I think that's what they're banking on, and they're hoping they win those 2 seats and then introduce another package. That's what I'm hoping that they're doing, but it doesn't seem like they're doing any type of, hey people, get on the phone and tell this person that we need some money in our pockets. How do you now say, okay, the stimulus, this 500 billion was terrible 6 months ago, because I remember her saying it, but now all of a sudden it's okay. Like, it was okay, it wasn't okay before, but now it is because the president has changed. That the fact that she gets to sit as the leader of the House makes me terribly sick.
Well, I
Right.
mean, what's she gonna do? She can't make the Senate do what she wants them to do. She's like handcuffed. I'm trying to get the best deal I can. Hell, she can make it $10 trillion. It ain't going nowhere. So, I don't understand why you would get angry at her.
Okay, so I'll
Mitch
explain that.
McConnell is the person who needs your anger to be directed at.
Right, because as chair of the House, she has negotiating powers. Absolutely, positively. Now, yes, you're right. She could negotiate, and they say no, no, no. But she's also got that bully pulpit that I keep talking about, where she could say, okay, I propose what, I'll just throw out a number. I don't know if she actually proposed it, $2 trillion. And Mitch McConnell keeps saying no, no, no. But hey, people in Kentucky, you need to call him and tell him it's time to pay up. That's
Well,
what makes.
whoa, hold didn't they pass that $1 trillion plus in the House
Yes.
during the summer? So where did that go? It didn't go nowhere. It's sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk. It didn't go
Okay, so
anywhere.
I have an answer. I have an answer. So she not only could have used that bully pool, but you're right, Charles. They did pass it. But Nancy is the same person that also passed PAYGO. That meant she would not pass anything that would benefit anybody in this country unless we had a way to pay for it. So when she put up that $4 trillion bill back in the summertime that went and sat on Mitch McConnell's desk, she knew they weren't going to pass it. It was a safe bet. When they got closer to the election and they could have passed that 1.9, what was it, trillion or billion? That Steve Mnuchin was putting up. Trillion bill. She refused because she knew they were so desperate before an election that it probably would have went and it wouldn't have been paid for. And for some reason, Dems seem to be bigger on austerity than Republicans, even though they love to say we're the ones that caused the deficits. So, but all along, even if we were going to say, let's just go back to the 2 trillion they knocked it down to when Mitch laughed at the 4 trillion they passed, she had leverage. Before passing that military budget, like Tracy said, she could have said, I'm not passing a thing until you come vote on this bill. She also had the government. Every September 30th, this government shuts down. And on October 1st, unless they pass a new budget or a continuing resolution, it will be shut down. And so, yeah, they are so scared that it's going to be the narrative that because of the Dems, we shut down. No, you take that narrative and you say, because of the Republicans, it was shut down because I'm trying to get you money and they refuse to vote on it. And I refuse to pass a new budget until they vote on this bill.
Because we all three of us agree, we need a stimulus. We need to put dollars, we need to put checks in every United States citizen's hands, period. Period.
Well, I guess we need to just wait till January the 5th when they vote, and if the Democrats get the 2 seats in Georgia, then Pelosi won't have no excuse then. And then
you just did a big if. You just did a big old if. And you just got to my next topic.
One step at a time, that's all you can do is one step at a time. Hell, we don't even have any control over what goes on in Georgia. Hell, I live in Arizona. Hell, I did what I was supposed to do. We got Arizona, you live in Indiana. So, there's nothing you can do. This is up to the people in Georgia. If they have I guess the same turnout that they had for the presidential election, then, I guess the Democrats should win it then. That's see, and then I guess they'll be contesting that until the cows come home.
Well, I tell you like this, Charles, you have more faith in the Democratic Party than probably me and Tracy
Yeah,
combined.
because I'm like, what?
I
Like what?
If past this
don't have
prologue,
faith in no, I don't have faith in either one of the parties. I'm an
right,
independent.
there
I'll
you
just
go.
vote for whoever is get me close to what I want or what I need. I'm not gonna waste my vote on something that I know is gonna lose. I might as well stay home if that be the case. We can call ourselves whatever, but we just stuck with these two major parties,
True.
and it's just hard for somebody who's independent to get into office. I was Bernie all the way. I was Bernie in 2016, and I just watched them just cheat him out of the nomination, just pretty
Twice.
much like they
Yeah,
cheated him out of the nomination here. I don't think nothing of what's his name, Clyburn.
Oh,
It's like Clyburn came out, opened his mouth, and gee, it was all over for Bernie then. And I'm
and
thinking,
Obama
gee,
worked the strings in the background.
gee,
Never forget that puppet master Barack
yeah,
Obama.
because these are like Republicans. Joe Biden at one point wanted to do away with Social Security. So
Big
that's why
time.
I'm saying the rich want to keep it in the center, keep it where it's balanced. That's where the rich want to keep it at. It's
Mm,
when you go far left or far right, that's when you start having problems. That's when you start having the big divides. The Democrats shouldn't have gave away the power for electing judges, but they did. They made a bet, they lost, and now the majority uh, wins instead of needing the 60 votes to put in judges and stuff. That when uh, you have a balance, you keep it to the center. It goes maybe a little bit right, a little bit left, but it's not gone now they're putting in these far right judges. I'm waiting to see how they're going to do on the Affordable Care Act. They talk like they're going to deny that lawsuit, but until they render the verdict, gotta wait and see. And if the if the Democrats get the two seats, then the first thing Joe Biden needs to do is stack the court. He needs to make the court even, so that if it's even, that one side will have to give or nothing to get done. So like I say, the issues have to be close to to uh, to the thinking, which is the way they govern. This is a party. Both parties are the party of the rich.
Well, what would you say to Joe Manchin and Chris Coons that have already buried your idea of stacking the court? Because I totally agree. I think Tracy totally agrees. The only way we can even this playing field is if we stack the Supreme Court as high as it can go. But already Joe Manchin, Democrat, supposedly on paper, and Chris Coons, supposedly Democrat on paper, already said that's a no-go from jump.
Well, like I say, it's a moot point if they don't get the seats. But if they don't, then when you get enough far right decisions going against you, then maybe you'll rethink that. Maybe we do need to stack the courts, or people demand that the courts be stacked. So, like I say,
Yeah.
all we're here for is just here for the ride. That's that's all we here. We put our one vote in and give our opinion and keep moving.
Yep.
And
And you
hopefully one day we don't have to hit the streets with guns and stuff, because it might come to that. They already got the Secretary of State in Michigan. They got her house surrounded. Armed people got her house surrounded. Okay,
Right.
now you imagine if there had been black people having somebody, a government official's house surrounded and you armed.
They'd be
All
dead.
right, somebody gonna get shot. Okay,
Mhm.
somebody, when you see they shoot black people just because they imagine they had guns in their hand,
Young
you
guy over
know.
the weekend had a Subway sandwich in his hand, dead.
yeah. Yeah.
So hey, what they need to start treating these white people just like they treat black people, and they'll get some order then. I'm sorry if you have to start shooting people, putting people in jail. I guess that's what you're gonna have to do, because otherwise, this Constitution is gonna break up. Just like that's what Trump is trying to do.
Well, I think that
And
comes full circle to exactly what Tracy initially said about this stimulus, because I guarantee you, they don't pass a stimulus. I'll even give them that month that you want, Charles, and say after the 5th, or even let's go as far as whenever the new Congress is in. I guess they'd be immediate because the new Congress is as of like 3 January, right?
Yep.
So right into, them getting into office, if they don't pass something, I honestly am shocked we haven't had a rebellion yet.
Yep.
And I'm talking about everybody.
And that's what another thing I want to interject is and I understand you're saying we have to take one step in time, but if that race in Georgia doesn't go the way that we're hoping it goes, it's gonna be a tough road ahead for Joe Biden to get anything done, unless again he starts using that bully pulpit.
Or
He's
power of the pen.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I mean. Barack Obama did it. I mean, he didn't do it in close of Guantanamo Bay, which is what he probably should have did. But
Right.
he used it when he wanted to use it. That's what it's going to take. Hopefully, they do win at least one of the seats, because I still think Purdue is going to beat
Me too.
Ossoff or whatever his
Mhm.
name is.
You got it.
I don't think he's going to win. He didn't win the first time. I think Warnock has the better chance of winning. And to me, he's the better candidate. He lines up pretty much with what I agree politically, not 100%, but he's close enough where I say, okay, I'm cool with him. But if they don't, let's just suppose in our imaginary world that they win both races. Then what are we expecting? Are we expecting a $1,200 stimulus, a $2,000 stimulus, a $2,500 stimulus? What is it that we would expect now that Biden would have that control in the Senate that he needs?
well, like I say, the first thing they have to do is get rid of this virus or get it under control. And it's going to take money to do that. So how much ever it takes, I mean, it's things you can do. It's things that should have been done. Things that should have already been in place, but it wasn't. It's a pandemic. Well, the government never expected a pandemic in their whole entirety, because if they did, they would have had a plan. A plan to how things are going to be, and it should have been uh, agreed upon with all the states. All the states should come together and say, okay, this is what we're going to do if we ever have a pandemic, and be ready to enforce whatever those plans are. But it's like it was like there's no plan. You got a leader in the White House who doesn't want to lead. He doesn't want to leave the White House, but he doesn't want to lead in the White House. And he's leaving it up to the states to do whatever they want to do. Meanwhile, the disease is just getting stronger and stronger, and it's just increasing every day. It's almost like 1 million people every 3 or 4 days that are getting the virus. It's like about 5,000-6,000 people a day that are dying. They got to get a stop on that. And like I say, I don't think the vaccine is going to do that. When I'm hearing that, it could be June when it's readily available to the public.
Right, because they're giving it to healthcare workers first, and then people in senior and nursing homes second. So those will be the first two that'll get it. And if the rest of us take it, which I'm with you all, I'm not sure I'm going to take it.
Well, I guess by June we'll see how the first responders responded to it.
I do think that one thing they should do is a mask mandate, and I know that's not popular with like the audience that I broadcast to, but we need something from all across every state that says you go outside and you're not jogging around the neighborhood or you're close to somebody, you need to put a mask on. I'm tired of seeing clips of people in Walmart fighting the store staff because they refuse to put a mask on. Kick them out. Yeah. Kick them out or order online.
No, start taking them to jail. Start fining them. You need to get in. You need to do whatever you need to do to enforce whatever mandate you made. If you can't enforce a mandate, then you should have never created that mandate in the first place. Just because you say somebody needs to do something, but you aren't willing to enforce it, then why did you say that in the first place? Why did you just make it a suggestion?
And then you have some governors, unfortunately, they don't think that masking is even a good thing. And now you see states like South Dakota having one of the highest rates, not in just the United States, but on the entire planet Earth, having the highest rates of infections because they're refusing to take something as simple as wearing a mask outdoors, which would make perfect sense. And I don't know if they're just completely stupid or apolitical or a combination of both. I don't know. I think Talicia's trying to say something. And I couldn't hear you.
I am so sorry. No. You guys are absolutely right. I don't think there is a way to enforce it totally, but we got to do something. Like you said, we have to do something. And I don't know if jail is the right thing, just because if there's people in there for other offenses, now we're maybe potentially giving them a death sentence. But I do like hitting them pockets. A fine, yes. And if you don't pay your fine, then maybe whatever the next recourse after that is. And then definitely ostracizing. You don't come in this establishment. And if you come in this establishment, I will call the police on you. Let's start calling the police on people that actually deserve it, as opposed to people that are in a park watching birds
or having a barbecue.
Yes.
Last thing I want to talk about is something that I don't know. I know, Talisha, how you feel about this, and I know how I feel about this. I'm not sure how Charles feels about this, but y'all's former president, President Obama, recently did an interview where he said that using the term defund the police wasn't going to necessarily accomplish the goal that it set out. Now, I'm going to let Charles go first, Talisha second, and then we get mine last, because he came really close to being the idiot of the week. But there's one that beat him, but he was really, really, really close with his comments. I could not believe he said that, but Charles, you go ahead.
Well, I believe he said that, and I understand what he's saying, because most people hearing that doesn't understand what the defunding means. It's like calling the government socialism, when it's not socialism, it's a democratic socialism. It's a whole totally different, they're not educated on that. So if you're saying that, then they think you want to have no police at all. Whereas you want to reallocate some of this money towards other things than making sure the police are geared up Rambo style. Police are supposed to investigate crime. They don't fight crime, they investigate crime. Okay, that's their mandate. A lot of times they go into a situation where they're fighting and a crime hasn't even been committed, but they don't know that, and they just go in with that mentality. Yeah, I understand that, you're gonna lose votes if you're talking about defunding the police. You have to stick with the term reform, because people understand the term reform, and reform would be doing the same thing that defunding is doing. So, so that's my feeling behind it.
Okay, so I think Talisha is next. Go ahead, because I got a page of thoughts. So you go ahead,
child. I'm chomping at the bit here. This is my wheelhouse. This is my current fight. This, to me, is the number one problem in the Black and brown communities right now. I don't care whose feelings are hurt. I don't care that you don't understand it. You don't understand it. Open a book. Why are the Democrats letting the Republicans set our narrative? We are tired of Black and brown people getting murdered in the street. I'm not going to soften it so I help some white person feel more comfortable. Listen, I'm tired of Black death. So that being said, I don't care how you receive it. I'm telling you, them cops need to either get out of here, or we need to cut the funding. The compromise is the defunding. The actual truth is abolition, what a lot of people want. So the compromise is the defund. And that is that disingenuous narrative that the Democrats refuse to beat back. Because if they only just said, you're lying. You have no problems defunding schools. Does that mean you're shutting down schools? No, that means you're taking their resources and reallocating them. So that same little narrative that you love to put when you love to cut money from people who need it, let's talk about cutting money from people who don't need it. You don't need a tank to drive down the road. And so I'm tired of you sitting there telling me that Black death is way less important than how you receive the word I use. No, I'm not changing my word. Change your mentality to stop thinking it's more offensive that somebody's killed. Oh, my bad. That somebody said take money away from the police when somebody's killed, as opposed to the person being killed. That's just like when people try to argue why somebody shot a protester because they were defacing property. So you're telling me it's okay to kill somebody for defacing property, but it's not okay to deface property because somebody was killed? Make that make sense. So Barack Obama, go wherever you go. You're not here no more. We don't need to hear what you say, because apparently you don't understand how the other half lives. There are people, I'm a mother, I have Black kids, I have a Black husband. My everyday fear is when they leave this house that some cop is going to have their preconceived bias, bad training, or just are so reckless that they murder my child in the street. You think I care that some white person that lives in Lily White Lane, who has the nice officer friendly that comes and waves at them and keeps it pushing, as opposed to looking at them like a thug that's about to rape and kill their wife? You think I care that their feeling is upset? I don't care. And ask them if I'll ever care. I'll start caring about their feelings the minute Black and brown people stop getting murdered for just existing. Now I'll mute myself because I'm sure Tracy has stuff to say.
Yes, and all I'm going to say is ditto plus. I don't think that the police force should have budgets that are the size of some small countries' entire budgets. Where did that idea come from? I know in this city, we give our police officers, I'm pretty sure it's almost $400 million every year. And what has it led to? We had our recent shooting where another Black person, no, we've had two. We've actually had two instances in Indianapolis where somebody Black was killed by a police officer, and they were actually firing at protesters. Not because the protesters were breaking the law. Well, okay, maybe they were breaking the law, but they were actually, and I don't have the clip, there was one police officer that took his baton and he literally almost broke the knee of a young girl who couldn't have been older than 13. She could not have been older than 13. To me, that's a baby. I know it's not technically a baby, but that's what I would call somebody that age.
You're right. She's a baby.
Yeah, it's just utterly ridiculous to me, like Alicia said, that you are so comfortable saying defund education. You advocated for charter schools, which are crap. But somehow when it comes to police force, oh no, we can't touch them. Boy, Bob, I don't have no time for you. Go make your Netflix deals. You, like I said, he barely missed being my idiot of the week because the one I got, she way worse. I'm like, you real lucky because whatever it is you doing, stay out the public light. You don't represent Black interests. Pretty ticked off that I've even voted for him twice. Because I don't get it. I don't get how he thinks it's okay to say don't fund the police. We need to defund the police. And I went, again, ditto to what Talisha said. If you don't understand what that means, use Google and type defund the police, and they'll give you a really good definition of what it means. So that's what I'm going to say about that before I get real angry, because when I heard that, I literally almost took my shoe off and said, no, he didn't. He couldn't have said that, but I heard it. So I'm like, no. I would like to Charles think that what he said was just kind of leave it, but people are not stupid. If they want to know something, they're going to go to Google, they're going to go somewhere and be like, okay, what does this really mean?
No, he's saying don't say it. Don't mean it don't have to happen. You know, when you get into power, you can do a lot of things, you know, but, you know, don't holler, this is what you're going to do. Don't give out your plan when you know it's not going to help you achieve the office that you're trying to get into. You know, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. I'm sure if it could happen, it would happen. But, you know,
Charles, I think that puts further credence.
Nothing is a problem in America until it happens to white people. You know, it's not a problem when it has happened to Black people. And that's always been, and I don't know if that's ever going to change, at least probably not in my lifetime. Okay, so you know, I don't want things worse. Yeah, it's not like things are gonna get great, but damn, I really don't want things to get worse than what they are now. You know,
yeah, but
I don't want to wait.
Yeah,
let me saying that. Go ahead, Tracy. Go ahead.
What I want to interject though is there are cities that have used the term defund police and now are actually moving to defund the police, and we know what has happened. Their crime rates are going down.
Cambridge, New Jersey.
Exactly. Thank you for naming the city.
Yes,
so we know that defunding the police works, and as far as they're concerned, your budget, nobody's saying get rid of the police, but let's remember why the police were started in the first place. If we can remember, they were started to capture people that were forced into labor. So that's why the police were started. So if we're going to have police, first of all, they need to get rid of this 6 months training, because they definitely need 2, 3, maybe 4 years, like it's a college degree. They need to stop going to the Ku Klux Klan and recruiting their officers point blank and the period. And they definitely need more people of color to serve not on just the police review board, but to actually be police officers. I have a cousin who is a police officer. I don't see how he does it. I ask him all the time, how do you do it? Because he talks about that culture, and that culture isn't going to change until they stop hiring these racist cops that have these ill-conceived, predisposed dispositions of Black and brown people. And let's just put it this way: they shoot, well, in Indianapolis, they'll shoot a poor white person just as soon as they'll shoot a Black person. Right. They don't. I mean, if you're gonna give IPD something, IMPD, because I always forget their initials, they'll shoot if heck they beat a person that had Alzheimer's and didn't care. He made a move. I'm like, well, you knew you went to a nursing home and you just decided to, that's our IMPD. They just so brilliant here. But I just think when Obama says that, it's like you're so out of touch. Like, how do you go to sleep at night saying, well, don't say that? I'm just gonna ditto everything Talisha said. I don't care if you don't like it. He specifically talked about defunding education in terms of his promoting public schools. Why didn't he have a problem? Why didn't he just say, well, let's just reallocate education funds? But now all of a sudden he's like, okay, we can't say defund the police, defund them and do it as soon as possible.
Today, now, quick and in a hurry. And then that whole, I love you, Charles, but that reform the police, we've been reforming the police for years. We keep reforming them to keep killing us and cracking us upside our head. And now it's just on video.
We haven't reformed anything. They don't even talk about reforming in any platform. You know, first of all,
yes, they do. They talk about consent decrees.
One at a time.
You have to remove qualified immunity. That's the first thing you have to remove before you can reform. You know, and you aren't holding anybody accountable. That's reform. You know, how are they held accountable? You know, you talk a good cop. A good cop knows what a bad cop is doing, but you know, ain't nobody stepping up to the plate. So that until they're held accountable and they're transparent, then that's when you will be reformed. Okay, you're not reformed. You made a couple of changes just to try to appease somebody, but you haven't reformed anything. You haven't reformed your judicial system. You haven't reformed your prison system. You know, you have the slave system that you have to maintain. That's part of America's culture. It says right there in the 13th Amendment that you have a slave system in the prison. That's a slave system. It's a legal slave system, and they have to maintain it. And then they turn it over to private companies instead of states running the prisons. You know, they turn it over to private contractors who they have no motivation to let people out because they're still, you know, getting that funding from the states. They're making that money.
That's exactly right.
So no, it hasn't been any type of reform. I ain't talking about going back and doing some training. I'm talking about reform.
But reform, that's what reform is. Reform is taking the same broken, jacked up system and reforming it into something else. So you still have that systematic rot that's going on. You need a total reconstruction. And reconstruction first starts with taking away the money that's allowing them to be so corrupt and inept and overpowering.
And you know, Charles, that some of these police forces in probably all three of our cities, they have weapons that would rival the United States military. Yes. If you can explain to me why a police force needs a tank, I'll be done. Because I'm like, wait a minute, what you need a tank for?
I guess my question is, how are you going to take it away from them? How are you going to take it away? You know,
Oh,
the
you can
police,
correct those mistakes in the past. I'm
the
talking about
police.
going forward. I'm talking about
What I'm talking about going forward, we didn't, well, not we, because it wasn't me. They didn't give the police so much power that
Yes.
they ain't gonna be able to take this power back.
Oh, yes, they
I mean,
can.
yeah, they can. The people
unless
can.
you gonna send in the military to kill the police? That's
No,
about to
you're gonna put progressive judges in. You're gonna put progressive DAs in. You're gonna put progressive police chiefs in. You're gonna put people in there that's gonna clean house. And if you can't clean house, we're getting rid of you. You know what I'm saying? It takes us to be fed up. Like, I can't hear of. Matter of fact, I don't even watch the news anymore about when I hear that a young Black kid has been killed. I turn it off. I don't read the articles. I can't. I literally can't take it. We have to get to that point where we literally cannot stomach it. And we are standing outside of whatever precinct. All of us are standing outside and we're letting them know, you either put their asses in jail, sorry, Tracy,
I
or
know.
or we will burn it down. That's where I am. And people love to call that radical. That's not radical. That's normal. Nobody should have to pay for your own executioners. They're literally paid to go out and murder us. And we're supposed to care that we call it defund? I'm past that.
Yeah.
I would love to see that day happen, because I don't think
The
that
time is
day
now.
Yeah, I
it
think
hasn't
so.
happened. It hasn't happened
Yeah.
in my lifetime. I'm 69 years old, and I've watched them get more powerful. Okay, they weren't as powerful as they were when I was 1 year old as they are now. They're a force to be reckoned with. I mean, control the judges. Most people don't even know who a judge is when they voting for judges, to put judges on the bench. You don't know nothing about him unless he's a federal judge going up in the Senate for confirmation, and then you hear this person's story. But when you electing a judge, you don't know nothing about. They don't even put a R or a D by the names on the ballot, so you don't even know who you're electing. I don't know how you get educated on that. I mean, unless you've had a lot of brushes with the system, maybe, and you ran up against this person and he was a prosecutor or something like that, or you might know the person, period. But it's hard to say, you putting a progressive judge in there when you don't even have a clue of this person's mindset.
I think we have to be willing to vote out the people, especially our city council ones that just, oh, I'll just sign on to it. I still want to know why they think they need a tank. I'm still like, okay, that is,
Right.
if I'm a city council person and I do not have any thoughts of ever running for office, and I'm hearing you need a tank, why do you need weapons that any small country or any medium-sized country would say, you know what, we'll pay for those. You
Right.
don't need, I mean, half the things they get, they don't need. And I hate to cut off this subject because we doing so good with it, but
Great subject.
we got to move on to our last segment, which is the idiot of the week. Talisha, keep it quick, keep it brief. Tell me who your idiot is and why, but I think I know where you're going to go.
I'll keep it super quick. My idiot of the week is Barack Obama. He duped us all. We voted for him. We thought he was for hope and change, but the only thing he was changing was the way his pockets look. So now that he's got his pockets, he's happy. We're still unhappy. I need him to go away. I'm done.
Okay, that was quick. Charles, you next.
Mine is Melissa Carone.
You
When
took
she was testifying in there with Congress, and when Giuliani calls you an idiot, God, you must be an idiot. Okay.
Charles, you done stole my idiot of the week because she got it. I'm like, girl, sit your bad hair bun looking self down somewhere and be quiet. I mean, I'm like, oh, child. I mean, I'm gonna link some of the ones in YouTube of her. She needs to never ever appear on television ever.
Somebody said she was drunk. Was that true? Was she drunk?
I don't know what she was, but she was saying it didn't sound like to me she was intoxicated. It just sounded like she was really, really, really stupid. She said things like she never, if I was gonna call somebody a female Trump, she makes Trump look like Albert Einstein.
Ooh,
That's how bad she is. She
jeez.
just circular reasoning, no logic, no any. I'm like, girl, no, go sit down somewhere. Sit down. So again, I know this is coming to an end, but we'll be back. I think we'll be back. What's next week? Next week is the
13th, maybe?
13th.
Because I think election, they have to be, they can start voting by the 14th, which is a Tuesday, right?
Yeah, next week.
No, next Monday, the 14th is when they do the.
Yeah, we'll take Monday the 14th, and that'll be our last one because I'm going solo for the last 2 weeks and doing a best of because I got enough clips. So I
Nice.
want to thank you guys for coming. We had a really good discussion. I wish it could go on longer, but like I said, my team is on tonight, so I gotta watch them. But I thank you both, and I'll see you all next week. And remember, people that are watching on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, comment, and support me on Patreon so I can keep on doing content like this. Thank you guys and have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye now.